What's up, everybody? It is D to the J with a roll away, and it's time for Get Real on Will's Talk, the new Facebook show that airs every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. But guess what? It's 5:56, and I don't care. We're going on early. Why? Because I can do whatever the hell I want. Woohoo! All right. So I've got a special guest with me today. He's been on my show before on My CP Does Not Define Me. JP Jackson back in the house. JP, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you, DJ?
Hanging in there like a rubber chicken on a rope set on fire, but we'll just leave it at that. So I'm doing pretty good, actually. Thank you for asking. Thank you for being here today. What I brought JP in for, and this is part 2 of our relationship series, and it's sharing too much too fast. Now, before we get into today's show, I just want to recap a little bit. Come on, CP. There we go. Send a special shout out to Shayna Thomas, my sister from another mister, one of my best friends. She's usually the co-host on the show. She's out 4 to 6 weeks. You guys keep her in your prayers. She's got a lot going on. She's going to be back with us soon. She's getting better, getting healthy, and getting okay. So special shout out to Shayna, and I'm pretty sure she'll be, watching this show tonight, supporting us that way. So you guys keep Shayna in your prayers. Hey, Cindy, thanks for coming into the show. We appreciate it. We talked a lot about the difference in, the top 3 things that destroy a relationship, whether it's a marriage relationship or whether it's a dating relationship, and that is communication, sex, and money. And you guys can go and check out the show from last week. I had actually Christina and Kyle with me. It was awesome to do, and we had a lot of fun. So I want to start off today just by saying these are only opinions. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody, or I'm not trying to say anybody is doing anything wrong. Okay, how you decide to live your life is your choice. Okay, how you decide to do things is your choice. But I will tell you, this episode right here, sharing too much too fast, you have to be careful when you are dating what you talk about with the person you're dating, because some things you want to wait to share. What are your thoughts on that one, JP? Let me just go over here to the other man in the group. What do you think?
No, well, I especially think it's important in the start of the relationship. As to what you share, especially when you have a disability. So sometimes in the early stages of a relationship, you might be willing to share the more personal or intimate details of your disability early on in the relationship, because that can sometimes scare people away. Yeah, you don't want to share too much too fast, because sometimes it'll raise the expectation or even lower it to the point that the other person wants to walk away.
That's
because they're scared.
Yeah. And fear in a relationship. Let me establish one thing. Fear in any relationship is going to happen. Even if they say, "Oh, I'm not scared," there are points where they're going, "Oh my God, I can't believe he just did that. I can't believe she just did that. I'm going to cower over here in the corner." No, there's a time in the relationship where acceptance has to happen. Just like Sean just said, people don't always accept us. That's true. When you're dating or when you're married, there has to be acceptance on both sides. Now, do you have to accept everything? No. Do you have to like the same things? No. Do you have to agree on the same things? No. There has to be some independence in the relationship as well. Everything is not all sunshine and rainbows all through the relationship. Hey, Crystal, how are you? All through the relationship, everything's so perfect. He just does everything right. To where you're going, now you don't want to, all I want to do is just kill her because she just makes me crazy. That's a little much. I mean, but
that usually comes further in the relationship.
But and here's the thing. Dating and marriage is different. Let me establish that off the bat. I've been married for 5 years. Marriage and dating It's different. When you date, you try to impress each other. I didn't want to say this because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. You have to be careful because there's a false foundation when you're dating. When you're dating, you're not living with the person. I'm going to cover that too. Don't worry, we're going to get there. When you're dating, you're seeing the person. Now, see, with me and Emily, she was in Kernersville, North Carolina, and I was here. So we would drive 4.5 hours to pick her up and bring her here, and pick her up and take her back. And everything was great when we dated because we saw each other for a little bit of time, and then she had to go back home, and we were really sad because all we wanted to do was spend time together, talk on the phone. We had 4-hour phone conversations, great phone conversations, loving phone conversations. You find a lot to say in 4 hours. It's dangerous. Be careful. What you share with a person, you have to know them and understand their heart. What do I mean by that? Understanding their heart is knowing who they really are, and it takes time to get to know a person. Would you agree?
Yes, I mean, I've had relationships that went fast. I've had some that have gone slow. But it's very important to get to know the person and to not to rush to judgment on that person, because sometimes you will see red flags early on that aren't real. They end up not being real flags. They just kind of catch you off guard, and you have to adjust a little bit and go, that's not so bad. Let's learn from that experience and continue to try to grow.
I want to comment on what JP just said. There's a difference between a red flag and I gotta watch that. Okay, red flag. Woman has 12 kids by 12 different dads. Whoop, 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 whoop. Danger. That's a red flag. Woman who, is happy 1 minute, psychotic the next. That's a red flag. Now, we all deal with different things. We all have different tolerant points. Here's what is what I mean. She doesn't like to do laundry but 1 time a week. Okay, that's something maybe we work on. She doesn't like doing dishes. That's something maybe we work on. She doesn't like to clean the house. Okay, maybe that's a red flag. Maybe not. I don't know. Something we work on. See, what I'm saying is you're going to find out how a person is and how a person acts. And at first, when you're dating and when it's all special and when you meet her for the first time, you're like, nothing can go wrong. Wait 6 months. Let her piss you off a few times. And understand this is okay. This is going to happen because you've got to see how you react when everything is not sunshine and rainbows. Honey, did you get the milk from the store? No. God dang it! Why not? I'll go get it now.
But if you can learn from those experiences and you can adjust and continue to communicate and get to know each other through the good and the bad, that's what helps you get to that point in marriage where you get to know somebody well enough. You're like, all right, I see all these little things, but it's not really a big deal. Mm-hmm. And I love this person, and I can, see this person spending the rest of their life with me. That's part of the growing thing.
And see, now what he just said, again, talking about communication, going back to last week, you have to talk to each other. You can't shut down. When you shut down and you don't compromise and you don't communicate and you don't talk about what's bothering you. Now, let me say this, and one thing that I didn't address last week, dialogue communication is important. Dialogue communication, to me, is one of the best barrier breakers and one of the best ways to let each person say what they feel. Let me explain dialogue communication. One person is allowed to talk and ask a question. All the other person does is repeat back what they heard. And notice that I said repeat back what they heard. So let me give you an example. Honey, I'm really upset that you didn't do the laundry last week. she would then say, so what I heard you say was you're upset that I did not do the laundry last week. When the person that has the talking stick or the pen or the established communication line, they talk about what they feel they're upset about, and then the other person has a chance to do the same thing. And it doesn't allow you to get mad with each other because you're establishing and you're learning to listen. Learning to listen in a relationship is a tough thing to do because men think they hear one thing, women think they hear another thing, and you get two ducks quacking at each other over something that happened, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? I don't know what just happened.
You both try to get louder and talk over each other, and nothing's accomplished.
Exactly, because there's no you want to heal in a relationship. You don't want to pull down. You don't want to bring down. You don't want to break. You want to lift up. And a lot of people are like, man, I ain't like that. I'm a man. I know what I want. Yeah, that's the problem. You know what you want, and you're stubborn and don't want to listen to what somebody else is saying. That right there, communication, again, we talked about this last week, will break down if you don't listen. That's part of communication. Now, there are some women that are going to tell you what to do, where to go, when to come home, how late you can be out. No, that don't work.
There's some guys that'll do that too now.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I agree. But see, that to me is vindictive. That to me is controlling. And if that works for you and you're two controlling people, y'all gonna knock the hell out of each other. I'm telling you now, it's gonna happen. You setting up. There's got to be give and take.
It's that whole two alpha personality.
Yeah. There's got to be give and take in each relationship. Now, what I want to, going back to sharing too much too fast. One of the questions I get is, do you tell the person about your disability straight off? Yes. Let me explain why. She gonna know I'm disabled when she sees me because I'm showing up in the chair. All right, let me say that again. She gonna know I'm disabled when she sees me because I'm showing up in the chair. Now I'm gonna get one of two questions. Why are you in the chair?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a powered recliner?
I've never gotten that one.
Yeah, that's the two questions that I'm gonna get. So, do I share my disability right off? Yes. When I was on online dating profiles, did I put my disability on there?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I had to. I'm not going to hide it. What about you, JP?
Well, specifically with the online dating profiles back when I used to do that sort of thing, I found it easier just to be upfront about that, because the last thing you want to do is have some young woman that was interested in me, start texting me or calling me or whatever, emailing me, only to find out later on that I was disabled, and it's a shock.
Yeah.
So I learned that if you just were upfront about it and you let them make the decision right then and there on their own accord, hey, okay, he's got a disability, I don't care. Mm-hmm. That's one of the nice things about my current girlfriend is she saw me and she's like, I don't care about your disability, and that was on day one.
Mm-hmm. And that's powerful. Now, I want to say this in response to what you just said. When you find the right one, or one that truly doesn't care about your disability, you're going to know whether he or she is lying or telling the truth. Let me give you an example. I'm going to say two things here. When you date with a disability, be prepared to answer these three questions. Does everything work down south?
Yes. Oh, I mean, not yes. I meant the yes. That is a question.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
I mean, yes, that is a question that I will get.
Okay. And we're back. All right. So it's just, but no, that that is a question that I often get. Does everything work down south? Don't don't be afraid to answer those questions, because if you get offended by somebody asking you a question that wants to date you and they're truly interested, they're going to have questions where you go, and it takes a minute, and you might have to go, all right. I got the question asked the question one time, how do I have sex? I said, well, when I'm married, I said I do pretty much what everybody else does. And she goes, what do you mean by that? I said, look, every man, and I'm being honest, every man's got to do what they got to do to find what they got to find and go where they got to go to keep it clean. Okay. It's not a hard question to answer. Hey, Shayna, glad you're on the show with us. Hope you're feeling better today, girl. I believe that men cannot be afraid and women cannot be afraid to answer questions about their sexuality when it comes to their disability. Because now I don't think that should be your number one question, because the other question I have is that all you're interested in?
When it's the first question, I get that, because it potentially shows that you're more concerned with my disability than actually getting to know me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can't give me what I need, I mean, look here. The question 2, what do you need help with? That's a common question. And that's a good question, because the question you want to respond with to that is honesty. Again, we talked about that last week. You've got to be honest with these people that you're talking to, because if not, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass later. I'm telling you, it will happen. If you're not honest with yourself, you can't be honest with the person that you're with or trying to date. So what do you need help with? Does everything work down south? And 3, do you drive? That is the most common question I get when it comes to when I was dating. Everything worked down south. How much money you got, and do you drive? I mean, what do you need help with in your disability, and can you drive?
I'm sure the money thing comes up at some point.
That does too. I'm gonna get there. I will say this. I believe that driving is important, but it's not the end all of end alls. Let me explain that. There are other ways to get around. Let me get Morgan's comment here, because it says, that's a great comment. I have been with my boyfriend for 6 years. It was about a year before he asked me about it. Never made a difference to him. Never got treated any differently. And that's awesome. Being that you found that person that is not going to treat you any differently, being that you found that person that is going to love you honestly for who you are, that is an amazing piece right there in the relationship that you need to have. Now, I want to talk about questions to be careful with it of the opposite sex, because it can actually turn them away. Crystal said this: if they're truly serious about you, they will accept whatever, whenever, when you're both ready.
And that's the type of relationship anybody's looking for, whether you got a disability or not.
Right. Now, to go on to what Crystal just said, there are some questions that people are uncomfortable asking at the time that they're asked. Don't get discouraged if somebody says to you, whether it's a male or female, I don't feel comfortable answering that question right now. Let me get to know you a little bit better first. And then there's a possibility that I could answer that question. Maybe it's the end of the night. Maybe it's in date number 2. Maybe it's in date number 17. Give it time. Give it time. Hi, Michael. How are you? Thanks for tuning into the show. This is what I want to make a point of. Do not rush the relationships. Relationships take time to build a foundation. Relationships take time to build communication. And relationships take time to become relationships. But there's a key word in relationship that I want to talk about, and that's relate. Okay? When you can relate to somebody, as in relation, when you have things in common, that makes the relationship somewhat better. Not saying that everything has to be the same. You both wear purple, you both wear red, you like the same shows, you like the same. No, I'm saying there has to be things in common. Do you agree, JP?
No, I do. You have to have things in common, but not everything can be in common.
Right. Right.
There has to be some differences there, and that's how you learn from new experiences.
If everything is in common, it's got that creepy serial killer vibe where you're going to end up with Fatal Attraction and posters on your wall of the person that you have, and you're like, I don't know if I should be doing this. There's a little bit more to that. I really think that people need to understand it's okay to not have something in common. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Let me address one other thing. This is a common thing with kids with people with disabilities. Can you have children?
Mm-hmm.
That is a big question.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me answer that question on the air. Yes. Okay. I can't have them. I can help make them. All right. Understand that is a big thing when it comes to relationships in general. I want children. Okay. The only way that I'm going to be able to have a child in my life right now is to adopt. That is something that I had to come to terms with when Emily and I dated for over a year. I'm going to get to that in a minute. That is something that we talked about very early. Because it was something that I wanted. Now, women, ladies, please, when a man asks you, do you want children? Don't say yes to the man just to get him to marry you when you don't really want them. Please, dear God in heaven, be honest with yourself and be honest with the person that you're talking to. Shayna said this. A lot of people live in a fantasy world of, a lot of people live in a fantasy world of what a relationship should be like, or others like to compare. And you got to be careful with that. It's not about comparing what you used to have, and that will get you in trouble. Let me say this. Take it from me, wait until you're ready to have children. That's a strong statement, and I agree with that. But
I'll say this based on what Shayna said about living in a fantasy world. I think any brand new relationship out of the box starts off in that fantasy world, because you have all these grandiose ideas about how great the relationship could be, and there's all kinds of excitement and butterflies. And I think every relationship kind of starts in a fantasy world a little bit. The question is, where does it go as the relationship grows over time?
There you go. And that's why I said just a few minutes ago, it takes time for a relationship to actually become a relationship. The rose-colored glasses, everything is sunshine and rainbows, can last 6 months to a year. Now, let me add something on to that. When you've been around the person enough. If you're doing a long-distance relationship, it can last longer than a year. It can last 2 to 3. Because if you're not seeing the person every day, if you're not in the house with the person, if you have not lived with the person, yes, I'm going to get there in a minute, folks. I know the question that's on your minds. I'm going to get there, I promise. Is it sunshine and rainbows, or is it a relationship? When you can fight and communicate, or have an argument and communicate and come back stronger than you were, then it's a relationship. When you can't, it may be a done deal. Okay. Now, I have deal breakers in my relationship. 3 things. Do not lie to me. 1, I hate being lied to. I cannot stand being lied to. That is my number 1 pet peeve. Number 2, don't go behind my back. If you've got something you want to say to me, say it to my face. You don't need to go behind me, because if I find out later, I'm done. And these are, well, don't I get a strike? Yeah, you get 1 strike. You lie to me once, okay.
You know, for me, it's lying and smoking.
Yep.
I can't stand smoking.
And you know, I've been asked, would you date a woman with children? I have. I dated a lady with twins. Fantastic kids, fantastic people. Did it work out? No. Did I get attached? Yes. Did it hurt like hell? Yes. Mm-hmm. Because they called me daddy and it crushed me. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm in, I'm good. Woohoo, got kids, I'm great. Then the relationship didn't work out. Why? Because we only dated 6 months. Why? Because we jumped it for feet first, hit it, quit it, and go. And look, Dad, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Having sex too soon. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Keep it in your pants, people. It's dangerous to have sex too fast. When you have sex too fast, to me, and again, this is my opinion, okay? Everybody don't have to agree with it. Everybody's entitled to their own. Still love y'all, all right? If you have sex too fast, what is left? Let me ask you that. I'm going to say that again. To me, sex is the closest form of bond and love and relationship power and the whole ball of wax that you can get to. When you get to that compartment, when you get to the place of happiness, as I will refer, there's not a lot more you can do to grow close. Not saying that you can't do other things. Having sex too fast can destroy a relationship. I have seen it happen. You have to be willing to fight for your relationship, and you have to be willing to work at it and put forth effort to make it a relationship.
No, go ahead, DJ. No, I just lost my train of thought.
Now look, get back on the train, JP.
I know. Well, I'm just. So I'm basically looking at all my past relationships, taking in what you're saying, and go, well, this, you know. Even I'm going back and looking. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and again, the realization and the point of all of this is realization. I'm not trying to badger anybody down and say you're wrong. You've had sex before marriage. You're going straight to no. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying that if you have sex, and I've done it, okay. If you have sex before marriage, it can really desensitize waiting. When you wait and even though you're about to burst, and you're like, if I don't do it now, I'm going to explode. Go take a cold shower. You'll be all right. It's just, how do you feel about sex before marriage, JP?
It depends on how you look at it. Some people are okay with it. For some people, it's a religious thing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, some people are okay with it. I believe that you do what makes you happy. But if one person in the relationship chooses to wait, you shouldn't hold that against them. And the other person shouldn't pressure. Another person shouldn't pressure a person for sex, because the pressure for sex can ruin a relationship.
Yes,
it will ruin it in a heartbeat. So it's this day and age. It's really personal preference. So to each their own.
Now I'm going to bring up another topic, but I want to read this comment. Come on, CP, that Shayna left. That's why I do not allow my children around those I've dated. Plus, you must be careful who you bring around your children.
That
A
that
lot of
that's that's true because I have dated somebody with children, and I think she had 7 kids, and her and I were talking on the phone and going out probably several months before I ever met her kids. And I get it. You don't want to bring a total stranger around your kids. Like you said that you had kids already calling you daddy.
mm-hmm,
From my point of view, that would concern me.
mm,
I mean, to me, that's a red flag. But
yeah,
to you, it may not be.
yeah. Why was it a red flag to you?
Just because, we were like oh, why those kids are red flag? It's just that it really depends on when it happened in the relationship. If we're 3 or 4 months into the relationship and all of a sudden they're calling me daddy, I'm not your daddy. I'm not there yet in like 6 months. No.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the relationship goes on for a year or more and it grows and it matures and the Lord leads me to be that sort of father figure to them, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But in the initial stages of the relationship,
Okay.
But
All
that's my personal preference.
No, I understand where you're coming from. A lot of people think sex is the key to it all when it's not. To be honest, I wish I would have waited to have sex and to have children. Now I wish I would have listened to my grandmother. Yes, just imagine all those things the kids might have been through before you got with that that mother. I agree, JP. That's and here's the thing. Everything involves trial and error. Everything that JP and I are talking about, we have made mistakes. Okay. We are not the top relationship gurus, Dr. Ruth, Dr. Phil, Dr. this, that, Dr. Everybody can tell you things, but life doesn't come with a manual. Okay. The basic instructions before leaving Earth, which is the Bible, is the only manual I know of. Okay. Now, when you raise kids and you raise children, they don't come with a manual. You don't even know where to put the batteries. I still haven't figured that one out. But I want to say this, and this is the question that everybody a lot of people that I've known with disabilities has asked me: is it okay to live with a person before you get married, to get to know them? Let me answer this question. At first, I would have said no. But I'm going to put this in a perspective that maybe we can all kind of grab a hold of here. And I'm just going to say, you don't really know a person until they're around you all the time.
That is so true.
When you are around an individual, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they smell, the way they move, and you're around them all the time, you have a chance to see the real shit hit the fan. Because during that time, when you live with a person and you learn how they're going to be, you go, well, damn, I didn't know this was coming. Shoot, if I would have known this, I would have. Watch yourself. Because that right there, you're living with two people, okay? She may be thinking the same thing about you that you're thinking about her. And if you don't communicate and you don't understand that everybody got problems, okay, you got to. Now, when I said last week, somebody got offended that I said I don't think I treat a woman like a car, because I'm not just going to buy the car and take the car 180 miles an hour down the interstate. I'm going to check it out, make sure it's good, make sure the brakes work. You have to be gentle in a relationship. I believe in structure in a relationship, and I believe that things should happen at a pace where you're not trying to race to the finish line. A relationship is not a race. It is a meaningful time of being together to find out if it is going to work or not. That person that I'm married to, that I've been married to for 5 years now, that I lay next to every day, we have our issues. There are times when she says, I don't want to do this anymore. And there are times where I'm like, I can't stand this. And we're just going but there are times when she will look at me and smile and everything is fine.
But let me guess, you still learn something new about her every week, don't you?
Every week.
Every
because
week.
you know, the longer you're with somebody, the more you know about them. Now, let me say this. Please don't use that as ammunition to hurt somebody. What you know about someone could destroy them. Think about what you say to other people about your wives, about your husbands, about your girlfriends. Think about how they would feel if you said that to their face. And if you're not man enough or woman enough to say that to their face, don't say it behind their back.
Well, DJ, I don't think it's just that. You look at situations also. Let's just suppose hypothetically that the relationship doesn't work out, and you end up having to go your separate ways. You
Right.
have some people that will be so hurt over the breakup that they end up becoming vindictive, and then they start sharing all those little personal secrets they learned about you during that relationship, and they start bad mouthing you and doing whatever. But your hope is that even if a relationship were to end, that doesn't mean you should go off and talk bad about that person and start spouting all their little personal
See,
secrets. At the very least, you should try to respect that person, even though you're no longer in a relationship, and just go, okay, I'm done with that person, but that doesn't mean I need to spread their business.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I mean by don't use what you know about a person to hurt them. I want to read this comment here. Crystal said this. Like DJ was saying, he got attached to the kids. They got attached. They're also young, and they have more trouble with those emotions, and that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Children are jewels of the earth, and understand. Even though I want children, I want to be able to raise them properly. And to a question I said earlier, yes, I need to know that question. I've never lived with a boyfriend, even when I made my children, I never had that experience. And that is true because a lot of people don't know what it's like because they've never lived with them, and that's the thing. You've got to understand. In order for it to be, you can now see, and here's where it gets dangerous. Well, if it's okay to live with them, it's okay to have sex with them. I mean, you're crossing a dangerous bridge right there. Okay, because again, that is powerful. I was very apprehensive, meaning nervous, about living with a person before I was married because the Bible, you don't do that. But I've done it, and now I'm going to hell, and that's it. I done broke it. But it's not about that. It really is. To me, I want my relationship to work because it works, not because I jammed it together with so much super glue and you got so much freaking callus on the outside that you can't even feel anymore.
And when I was a lot younger, that actually was my position. Biblically, it says that you're not supposed to do that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. How did you come around that?
It's just I just came to the conclusion that I wanted to get to know somebody better, and I just knew that I could not do that, especially if when I talk about somebody living with me, that's me looking to take the relationship to the next level. I mean, I'm not looking to be in a relationship 6 months, having somebody live with me and then leave. It's like for somebody, for me personally, to live with me, I had to be in a relationship with them already more than a year, or maybe two,
Right.
before I even get to that point. I'm just not going to let a total stranger into my house because we've decided to have a short relationship or something like that. But if I'm approaching marriage seriously as a possibility, then yes, I want to see that person day in and day out and see the things that they don't think I'm watching.
You notice what he just said? Think about that. I want to see the person day in and day out. I want to notice things when they don't think I'm watching, because I'm always learning and watching to see what happens. Now,
and they're doing the same to me. I mean, it
should be, because you're learning each other as compatible life mates. Now, let me say this, and ladies, listen to this because this is important. Do not jump into bed with him because he says, I love you.
Love is a dangerous word.
That is a dangerous word, and it can get you in a hell of a lot of trouble. I do not say I love you to somebody unless I truly, truly mean it, even if they say it to me. Also, there are different kinds of love. It took me a long time to understand that. It took me half my life to understand that. How can there be different kinds of love? I only love one way. This is my fault. I love with my whole heart. I can't love in slices. I take the good with the bad, as I am, as they are, as she is. I love with everything I got, or I don't love at all.
Well, I think what a lot of people do, DJ, is they mistake lust for love and vice versa.
Yeah, because something that lasts 3 minutes can change your life for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. I love Emily with my whole heart. I love him. I always have. And she loves me. But I tell you the truth. Sometimes we need time apart. Sometimes she got to go in one room. Sometimes I got to go in another room. Sometimes I got to go for a roll around the block. I got to get the hell out of here. And it's not nothing she did, but you can't be cooped up with the same person all the time. You can't do it. You will drive yourself nuts.
I actually told Christina, I said, if we decide to move in together one day, I said, look, you can have the whole house. I want one room. I want one room. That's my room. She can do whatever she wants with the entire house. I don't care. I want one room that I can go to, and that's my space.
Now, Shayna said, what about the lust that people call love? That's what JP was just talking about. That's a confusing term for them because they think because they're lusting after somebody that they love them. That's not the same thing. Love or 30 minutes. What you talking about, Charles? Oh, okay, look here. Now, we ain't going to get in that, Mr. Wilson. No. We keeping this on the somewhat rated version. 30 minutes. Shoot, 30 seconds. Anyway, so
maybe 20 years ago. No.
The funny part about it is this. When you're confronted with the real issue, it doesn't take much to make me happy. And women will know that because I'm very, very, very real. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't hide anything from anyone because I don't have to. Some relationships don't work and people stay because they think they have to. Let me explain something real quick, folks. In sharing too much too fast, sometimes this don't work. And you will find out. And when you find out and you try to make it work, and I'm saying really try, when can we compromise on this? There's some things you can't compromise on. Some things People just have. Some things, it is the way it is. Sometimes, if he's beating the crap out of you, get out.
Mm-hmm.
You put your hands on a woman and I see you, I'm going to roll your ass over. And then I'm going to back up and do it again. You don't put your hands on a woman. Bottom line. There is no, oh, it was okay back in 1939. Fuck that, 1939. You don't put your hands on a woman. Bottom line.
I agree.
There's no need for a man to show his power by putting his hands on a woman and beating the mess out of her. That will not happen. That will not happen. Ever. Women, I'm letting you know now, if you are being beat or traumatized or beaten within an inch of your life, I don't care if you got kids or not. If you're being hurt that way, get out. Fight it out in court and do what you got to do. Get your kids, get the custody. You do not deserve to be beaten within an inch of your life for no man, because no man is worth that. No man is worth that. I learned a very long time ago, you can hurt a person just as bad with words as you can with physical violence. And that is not something I want to see happen, because to me, women are precious and men are precious, because you've got to find that happy medium. And we talked a little bit about compromising earlier. I love the fact that JP said Christina accepted my disability since day one. Sometimes that's a hard thing to do, because disabilities scare people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fear there, and sometimes there's an unknown fear that you didn't even realize. Look, everybody in the world needs help sometime, some way. Okay? I have said before, being my friend and being in a relationship with me takes a lot of work, because I need help with certain things.
Sometimes you have to swallow your pride, and if so you swallow your pride, and if the person loves you like they say they do, then they are your teammate in life. You complement their strengths, and they complement your strengths, and you work as a team to get through life.
Wow, how well that was said. That's truth right there. Where I'm weak, Emily's strong. Where Emily's weak, I'm strong, and we lift each other up. Now, here's the thing. To be real with you, DJ, I married my first wife based on the wrong thing. The dream and the actual reality were different. And see, the thing about it is you had to find it. And a lot of people do that because they think marriage is going to be this wonderfully super duper great thing where nothing goes wrong at any time. Let me put that in one word.
I was going to say, every one of my friends that is currently married, every single one of them have told me marriage is hard work. Probably the only thing harder than marriage is raising children, is what they've all kind of said. But they say that even though it's hard work, if you love the person and they love you, you will get through it, and ultimately you will be happy.
And that's the true love that we're talking about. That's love. When you've seen your person or your wife or your girlfriend at her lowest low, and she's cussing you up and down and telling you that everything is wrong and you did it, it's your fault, and you go to the store and you get her a tub of ice cream and bring her a dozen roses and put your arms around her and say, hey, baby, everything's going to be all right. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, she might throw the ice cream back at you.
That's all right. You wash it off, get in the shower, and have some fun anyway. That's what I'm saying. See, you gotta understand it does take a lot of work. But relationship, think about it. To relate to the ship of life, you have to understand it takes work to sell it. It takes work to get it ready. It takes work to keep it afloat. It takes work to keep it from sinking. It takes work when it gets holes in it, because relationships have cracks.
And I'll say this, DJ, I think it's even harder when it's a long distance relationship.
Oh Lord, you ain't got to tell me that, bro.
I'm telling you, I've been in long distance relationships, and I think it's twice as hard.
Mm-hmm. Because, and again, I don't drive, so when I was with my ex, she did all the driving, and that was a lot on her, and it was. But I want to mention this before we get too far, because this is a biggie. Because JP and I were talking just a little bit about this. When you get married, you marry into the family, whether you like it or not. Now, this whole time, I've been saying, don't share too much too fast. Let me say this. Some mamas and some daddies need to stay right where they are and keep their noses out of a married couple's business. I love y'all. I get y'all. I understand y'all. You might be my wife's family, and I ain't talking about them. I'm just saying, in general, sometimes families think that they can run a marriage because they're family. Yeah, you family, all right. I'm married in there, but sometimes you gotta let it be. That's why I like about my mother-in-law. She's never interfered in our marriage. She's never, tried to push too hard or try. She's like, are you guys okay? Is there anything you need? My mother-in-law is so awesome. I love Miss Lisa. She is fantastic.
And sometimes what you'll see, DJ, is the whole idea of the person, like the man having to choose between what his wife is saying and what his mother may be saying. Trust me, man, choose the wife. Choose the wife.
Yes.
Support your spouse. Support the person that's in the relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
As what's that old saying? Support in public, confront in private.
Oh, I like that. I like that right there. That's powerful, and it's true. Now let me go one step. Now, I believe in communication, and sometimes communication needs to go all the way around, from the wife to the mother to the father to the brother. They all need to sit down and say, listen, I'm marrying so-and-so because I love him or her. Y'all got to stay over here and just deal with it. It's very, 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 very difficult to marry into a family that doesn't love you. I'm going to be honest. My ex's family hated my guts to my face. I was the most wonderful chocolate cake alive. Behind my back, I was the biggest fucking turd on the sidewalk.
Get to know your significant other's family, because, like you said, they're going to be part of your life, whether you want them to be or not.
Exactly.
So you need to know, you need to know your spouse's family, and sometimes especially what their religious positions are. That's always important.
Yeah, because Daniel just said this. You didn't marry the family, you married an individual within the family. That's true, but still, that family is going to have power whether you know it or not.
Once you get married, you cannot get rid of the family. There's no way. I mean, it's to some extent, not entirely, but to some extent, it's a package deal.
Yeah. There ain't no some extent. Hell, it's a package deal. That's exactly what it is. Because that family is not going to go away. Now, if your wife and your husband have the communication skills, the family will understand. Mind your business. That is a three-word phrase I love. Mind your business. This is brought to you by Nunya. None your damn business. Thank you very much. Go over there. Now, let me go ahead and drop this real quick. We about 54 minutes. I'm going to probably do about 1:15. But I want to address this. A couple comments that came in. Crystal said, "Love that, JP. That's powerful stuff, man. So you getting comments. That's true talk, DJ. Thank you very much. Let me. Shayna said that's right. Let me just. Oh Lord, have mercy. Crystal said, no joke. If there's drama outside the relationship, I'm out. Oh, trust me, I got you.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get to know the family, because sometimes the family is too much.
And that right there. Now let me tell y'all something.
That's a double-edged sword, though.
That's what she gonna look like in 50 years. So you better understand that's what she married into now, unless she was adopted.
You laugh. That's like one of the first lessons my dad ever taught me.
Boy, I'm gonna tell you what. I said, okay. I need to sit down for a minute, not realizing that I was already sitting down, because my ex, man, I'm gonna tell you, that family, and you gotta be careful with this too. Step out of a room and step back in when they don't think you're there. Find out what they really think. Sometimes you got to have that conversation of what you let's throw all the bullshit aside for a minute. Can you tell me what? Don't tell me you like the clone I'm wearing, you like the shirt. Let's get past all that. Tell me what you really think. I found out because I wasn't a doctor or lawyer. I'll tell you what happened. I'm not a doctor or lawyer. I can't support my ex. I can't take care of my ex. I don't have enough money for my ex. I said, she ain't complained last night. They shut up real quick. That family was like, oh, no, he didn't. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did. What, y'all gonna throw me out? No, don't throw me out. I'm throwing myself out. Peace, bitches. Because if they don't have time to respect you as you are, you don't need it. But you got to find this out first. Meet the parents first. Meet the family first. Don't marry no damn body till you meet the family. I'm telling you, it's your own fault. I've tried to let you know on Get Real Will's Talk. Praise the Lord. Meet the mama.
And I'll say this: if you're thinking about marriage with a person, don't let the first time you meet the parents be the time you ask the parents about marrying their daughter or son. No.
Ooh.
They will run you off so quick.
They will run you into the ground and hit you with a headstone.
I'm not saying I've never done that, but that has crossed my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Look, JP, I saw your face. You're like, man, I need to adjust this shit quick. I done messed up somewhere. Let me go back a little bit. So all right. So now you've been dating Christina now. How long?
We've been dating about two and a half years, and I am meeting the parents for the first time this weekend.
Ooh. Oh, you dropped a bomb on me. But, okay. Anyway, but I want to say this. A lot of people ask the question, how long should you be engaged? That's a good question. I believe that the minimum before you get engaged is at least, and I'm saying at least, people, a year. At least a minimum. Okay. I honestly believe a good a dating period is a year and a half to 2 years. Mm-hmm. That's when no pressure, JP. That's when you
no. I get it. I really do get it.
Yeah, that's now when you get engaged. Depending on how long you've been dating the person, a year, I'd say a year, 9 months to a year. So altogether, you want to at least put 2 to 3 years in total before you take the plunge. Okay, and let me say this, guys, real quick. Let me talk about the ring for a minute. And this is important, okay? Because when you go to buy a ring, these men that are going out and buying these $9,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, you got to sell your car to buy a ring. Trim it back a little bit, because a ring should come from here, the heart, never from here.
I've always been one of those, and this is just my personal preference.
Mm.
I would rather spend $1,000, we'll say $1,000 on a ring hypothetically, and spend $9,000 on a down payment for the house that we're going to live in.
Preach it, brother.
You know, that just makes more common sense. I know, you know, a lot of times people in wheelchairs cannot wear jewelry because the wheelchairs will tear it up. So do you really want to go spending $10,000 on a ring that's going to get jammed in a doorway or caught in a wheel spoke or just
you're going to hear your wife say, "Mother, I just dropped a ring on all the time," and just go.
Yeah.
Now, this right here, the ring is not the lifetime commitment the marriage is.
Yes.
The ring is not the lifetime commitment the marriage is. I love you, Shayna. You are just, that's my sister. Y'all don't understand. Well, DJ, I want a nice ring, no wedding. I want to elope, then 5 years later have a wedding. I got you, sis. I know where she's going with that one. That's a tough one. I do want to.
You can take a good chunk of that money for the ring and the honeymoon. I'm not saying don't get anything and don't have a honeymoon. No, you need to do that because the wedding day is about her. It's about her. But I'm just saying, make wise financial decisions and think of the bigger picture for yourself as you go into newlywed or what have you. Think of the bigger picture sometimes.
The wedding is about her. The wedding night is about you. That's what this let you know. I'm gonna go ahead and praise Jesus right now and let you know right here live on Facebook. All right, so I want to cover two things. Kim just made a great comment, and neither is a piece of paper. If I hear somebody say marriage is just a piece of paper to me, I ask you this: what can you commit to? Marriage is not a piece of paper. Marriage is a commitment of lifelong journey together. Understand that? Marriage is a lifelong commitment of growth together to learn about each other.
Hey, DJ, I have a question for you. Actually, I want to get you that, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot.
Here we go.
What is your take on? Okay, people. You know, we have people that get married, but you have those people that end up living together for like 20+ years and never get married.
Oh, yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and address this real quick. Damn it! All right, let me get a little sip of water. Just crust of bread.
I'm just trying to, add more interesting points.
That's a great question, honestly. A lot of people are so concerned about their money and how they live. And when people with disabilities get married, they combine the income, and it makes it harder on two people to live with a disability together because they get married, and they cut the income, so it makes it harder. I marry because I love. I don't give a damn about income. Mm-hmm. If I love you, and if I want to be with you for the rest of my life and for the rest of y'all's, I'm going to marry you. I don't care if you make $200. I don't care if you make $2. I'm going to love you. We're going to find a way to make it through if I got to strip down on the corner. And I'm telling you, some of them corners don't have curbs, so it's tough. All right, let me just say. But I believe that you should marry for love, not for money.
Now, I've heard people say that they're in a relationship or they're going to get married and they'll move together and they'll double their income, and And I don't see how the whole concept of doubling your income because you got married works, because all you've done is double your bills, double the water bill, double the power bill, quadruple the food bill. So I don't see how getting married for money, and I know that's not what you said. You're not promoting that by any means, but I have heard people say that, oh, we're going to have double income, and so we can do whatever we want, and usually that's just not the way it works.
Understand, learning how to marry is not the problem. Learning why and learning how to save is. On top of all that, there are some people that marry for money. There are some people that go and marry that rich sugar daddy that can give them whatever they want. 12 boats, 6 cars, 9 cats. You got 12 cans of tuna in the freezer, but ain't got no clothes on your back. Got 12 cars in the driveway. What the hell is wrong with y'all? Come on.
You have an expensive house, but no furniture in it.
You sitting on cardboard crates and got a fridge with the word igloo on it. Kim, you crazy. She said, "Oh, I see a strip party happening. DJ Lowell party on. No, I ain't getting jiggy with it here on Facebook. Y'all carry that. But I want to say this. I believe that people should learn to be. You can buy something, but you can also be respectable, and you can find good deals, and you could find, a couch, not necessarily that a spring is sticking up on where you sit on it in the wrong place and you can't have children. But I'm just saying, you can find a nice couch at Rose's or Big Lots. You ain't got to go to Burlington and buy the biggest, most expensive. You have to learn to budget as a couple. You have
live within your means.
Mm-hmm. You have to learn to live within your means. You have to learn to food. Let me tell you, food goes up and money goes down. And that is how, and with this COVID mess here, causing everything to go up. We spent $700 the other day at the grocery store. $700. I ain't never spent $700 in my life. They told me that total. I said, "What the is going on here?"
Shayna. You read what Shayna put?
Oh Lord, she said, "Sometimes I want a sugar daddy after watching Lifetime." Lord have mercy.
That's why Lifetime is blocked on my TV.
Oh, I mean, Kim said, a sugar daddy is the sugar daddy is okay if they're half in the great. Wow. Wow, Kim. No, Kim. Honey, no. Mm-mm. See, I'm glad y'all enjoying this one here. This is the most fun we've had on Get Real Will's Talk episode 3.
See, when I think sugar daddy, I'm thinking the candy, back when we were kids, and
look here,
a little caramel candy you could buy,
If you got somebody coming up to you going, "You want some candy?" That's not a sugar daddy. I'm letting you know. That's a pedophile. Run the other way.
I can tell you've been watching Family Guy.
That's right. But look, I'm going to say this. Money isn't everything. Okay, I've had to learn, and I want to point this out because I've had to learn how to budget my money. I've made mistakes, and I've bought the crap that I didn't need and the stuff that I wanted. When you are together, you have to learn to put each other first, and you have to think about what she wants and what he wants, and not just think about yourself, because there are two now. There's not just one. There are two, and the concept of two people living together, two people dating, and two people being married. When that marriage happens, when you tie that knot, and when you put the lockdown on it, and them vows say "I do," you know what's sad? You spend $8,000 on a wedding and $300 on a divorce. Ain't that sad?
I don't know. Sometimes that divorce can end up a lot more than $3,000
A dissolution of marriage with no problems is $300.
on a good day.
I mean, that's sad.
Yeah.
And people, I think people divorce for the wrong reasons, but I think also people get together for the wrong reasons.
But that's what you have to ask yourself. Is it they're divorcing for the wrong reasons, or they just got, like you said, they got married for the wrong reasons? Did they get married too fast? Did they not get to know that person? I think usually that's what ends up happening this day and age is that people move too fast.
And that's what we're talking. Sharing too much too fast. It takes time. And it to slow down and realize what you have is powerful. To slow down, realize what you have, and appreciate it. That's what makes a marriage work. That's what makes a marriage work. It is hard. I've never been divorced. No. But I know, as far as, things are the way they are, it just.
Well, the divorce today is like, I hate to say it, and it's the only way I know to describe it, is the way divorce is today. It's like everybody wants to trade in for a new car. And I'm like, well, if you want to trade in, why did you end up getting married in the first place?
That's the question right there. There it is. JP, I've been waiting for that all night. And I didn't say it because I knew you were going to. I didn't even have to put. If you're wanting to trade in, why did you get married in the first place? That is the question. What is your real reason for marrying? Because if you just want to date.
Mm-hmm.
Don't marry for children. And I say that we stay married for the kid. Don't give me that crap. No, you don't stay married for kids. You stay married because you love each other enough to work it out. Bottom line. Stay married for the kids. Those kids, you help make them. You gonna support them till they 18. Deal with it or get out and pay your child support. Stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad made enough kids to start a baseball team. That's all I'm saying. I love you, Dad. Hey, no hard feelings. You better take the bullets out the gun. Pointed at anybody now. They don't care. But I'm just, I don't want people to marry for the wrong reason. It's not right. It's not right.
Well, that's why I say you take your time. I mean,
yeah,
don't these people. You say, I think you said earlier a year. Like for me, a year is too short. But that's for my personal preference.
Really?
A year is too short for me.
Before you mean a year's too short before you get engaged?
Yeah.
Well, you've been dating too. What's going on there?
But like I said, and it may be even longer if it's a long distance relationship.
Yeah.
I think that the distance, the initial distance of the relationship, does affect it a great deal.
I believe that as well. Well, good luck. Let me read this here because there's two comments I want to read here. A night full of passion may also leave you with a life full of pain if you are getting married for the wrong reason. Morgan said this: I guess it just all depends on your situation. I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years, where we lived together for about 4. I feel like I married in a way, and society paints a picture of what you're supposed to do, but it's your life in the end, and you can decide what you want to do, whatever makes you guys happy together. And we just said that, Morgan, we just said that about 10 minutes ago. You do what makes you happy. But if but that's, I mean, at a point you would wonder, if you've been with him for 6 years and you've lived together for 4, what's the reason that you haven't gotten married? Why, and it's not saying that you should or you shouldn't. Right. The only thing I'm saying is, if you've been together that long and you're not married, that the question has to come up, what is stopping it? Okay. And it's not bad whether you do or you don't. I'm just saying, is that something you guys want to do? And if not, that's fine. You
have to understand the expectations of each of the parties involved. I mean, right. If she's expecting to get married and he's not, that needs to be discussed very early on in the relationship. But if you're, if both of them are like, hey, we're content with the situation, that's on them. That's their choice. I'm personally not going to judge them for their choice.
I'm not either. And I think that, and society does play a big part in painting a picture that, but that's society. And again, you do have to do what's best for you. And I agree with that. And good luck to you both. I'm happy that you got on the show today. I'm happy that you commented. I'm happy that you've, shared that part of your life with us, and we're happy about that. Let me see. Kim said this, and having sex before marriage is bad as well, or being in the wrong relationship. And that's and to have sex. That's so true. It costs about the same, especially if we go back to the conversation earlier, if joint custody is involved. Then that makes it here's the thing with children. Divorce with children plays hell on a child. I'm going to say that. When luckily right now, Emily and I don't have any children. Do I want children? Yes. Do I want to adopt? Yes. Do I want to have regular children? Yes. There's a lot that is determined in that.
I can say this, DJ, and I don't mind sharing this. I mean, my parents got divorced when I was 12 or 13, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as coming in as a new teenager. Oh, that was rough. I spent probably 10 years after the divorce blaming myself for the divorce.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
When my parents split, it was, why doesn't my dad want to see me anymore? Why does my dad lie to me all the time? There was a long time where I hated my father. There was a long time. It took me years to get over how my mom was treated. It took me years to I wanted my mom to be happy again. But in the same side, every man she ever saw, I'm like, look, you hurt my mom, I'm gonna break your legs. And that was before I was a white belt. Now I actually have the license to do it, which is so bad. But I think that marriage is a lot to think about. Engagement is a lot to think about. Nowadays, dating is a lot to think about. Build a friendship, build a foundation, see where it goes. Take your time. Don't rush. Be friends and be there for each other and see what happens. See what happens.
A lot of times, if you let things naturally take their course and you don't constantly try to force a direction, you'd be surprised the results you can get. Sometimes what people do is they will try to force the relationship to follow a very specific timeline and a very specific set of events, and it ultimately causes so much stress in the relationship that it doesn't work out.
Oh man, did you hit that right on the head? You cannot force it. You cannot, and a lot of people will try to force it and force what's not there. Sometimes you have to let it happen. And this goes back to the whole topic we've been talking all night long. Sharing too much, too fast, or doing things too fast, slow and steady wins the race. So I'm going to give my final thoughts in just a minute, but I'm going to throw it over to JP first, because I just want to ask this question. On what we've talked today, if you were to summarize what we've talked about, what would you say to our audience in final thoughts?
Just oh wow, I had to process everything we just talked about. Just no, and I'm coming from my personal experience. Take your time, get to know the person, ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, but don't get frustrated when they don't want to answer them up front. As they get to know you, they will open up and share those more personal questions that you may need answers to. They may not do it immediately, but if you stick with it, they will usually open up. And just take your time and think about what you're doing and do what you got to do to help the relationship grow as a team. Don't try to work against each other.
Wow. That's well said. I mean, the only thing I'm going to add to that, I'm going to say this. We've done an hour and 20-minute show. I called JP. I'm like, hey, you want to get up here with me? We're going to talk about this, this, and this, and this. And he was like, yeah, sure. I'll just kind of follow your lead, but I'll get up here. And I'm so glad that I called him because, you really have to, let me say this, evaluate yourself. Take the time to figure yourself out. Learn to love yourself before you love somebody else, because that's the only way that you're truly going to love anybody else is to love yourself first. Understand what you want. Don't settle because you think you have to. Take your time. Learn what love is truly about before you express it. Learn how it makes you feel. As JP said, don't be afraid to ask questions. The only way that you're going to get the answers to the questions you don't know is to ask them. Now, there is a certain way and a certain delicacy that you can ask a question with. Can you have sex? May not be a great question to ask like that. Does your bits and pieces work? Relax. Everything's all right. Goodness gracious. Bits and pieces and tackle. Everything's fine. Some things are not meant to be shared right away. Take your time and value what is in front of you. Value the person. And most of all, enjoy life. You don't have to commit right away. It may take 2 years. It may take 3. It may take 4. Meet the parents. Don't ask to marry the daughter on the first date. Lord have mercy. Yeah. Learn to take it slow and be respectful.
DJ, I want to comment on what Jed just said. He said, you have to know what you want in any circumstance in life. And the same is true in relationships. When you go into a relationship, kind of have an idea what you want, because if you constantly trying to conform yourself to fit somebody else, you lose your identity. And if you try to make that happen, you're just going to be miserable. So know what you want.
That's why I said don't settle. So many people I've heard, well, at least he loves me. That's all I'm going to get. Yeah. I might as well go ahead and that is bullcrap. Don't do that. And if they are vindictive to you and controlling you and you're not living the way you want to live, reevaluate your life and wake up.
That's not being a team.
Yeah, there's so many relationships that are happening right now where the women are vindictive to the men, or the men are vindictive to the women, and they treat them like crap, and it's not supposed to be. And there are wives that are controlling their husbands, and there are husbands controlling their wives. That's not a team effort. Together, everyone achieves more. And that's where it needs to come from. Marriage comes from here, the heart, the love, the realness. It's not about money. It's not about money. Yeah, you have to have money to get things done, but you can also get things done without it. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning into the show today. JP, thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. This has been a great episode. Join us next Tuesday for Get Real on Will's Talk, episode 4. And join me this Wednesday for My CP Does Not Define Me with my very special guest, my mama, Ms. Edwina Wilson, the CEO and founder of Kelly's Choice, where we promote the Cerebral Palsy Conference, the virtual 6th annual Cerebral Palsy Conference. It's going to be a great one. Going to be held from March we're in March, right? Yeah. March 26th to March 31st from 12 to 2. Then we take a break from 2 to 4, and then we come back from 4 to 6. 5 days. We're going to have some amazing, amazing speakers. Get ready, get willing. If you'd like to be a guest on the conference or a speaker on the conference, please email Miss Edwina Wilson at kellyschoicecares@gmail.com. Please, in the subject line, put your topic, give her 2 dates and 2 times that you're available to speak. And please do not ask her, would you like me to be a speaker? Take the initiative, put your topic in there and your date and times. If you can't be good, be bad, but be good at it. This is D to the J with the roll away, and I'm with JP Jackson. Action Jackson, there we go.
There we go. Oh, gosh. I knew it was going to come up at some point.
I'll tell you what, man, I've enjoyed doing the show with you today. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, DJ.
All right, guys, y'all take it easy. We're going to end the broadcast for now. We'll see you tomorrow for My CP Does Not Define Me. Take care.